Hello, I hope you're doing well. I'm here with a DaVinci Resolve tutorial. For grading, especially in scenes like this, people often use color space transform and then add the necessary input and output settings for the job. I worked with raw footage and I'll show you a video that was previously deleted. I want us to approach grading in a different way. The most important thing is to start with really good contrast, because the key factor in achieving good color is having excellent contrast. For those who are just starting out, you should pay attention to setting the parade between 896 and 128. This is a standard range. In some footage, like this one, where the lighting quality is low and the intensities are weak, and the shot is in the shadows, sometimes you need to open it up in the higher levels. The first thing I do is come here and increase the gain. I go to the higher levels and I also bring up the highlights to around 628. You can see that the image has gained a new kind of contrast and brightness. From the curves, I move towards the shadows and push them down, and I also adjust a bit from here. Alright, in the next layer, before I actually go into the HDR layer and push the shadows even further down, I still need to reduce the gain just a bit more in the first layer, and also pull the lift down as well, just to make sure everything is balanced. Now we move on to the final layer. In this layer, I go into the curves and bring back the log wheels and shadow. A white haze appears over these areas. If needed, I apply sharpness exactly. In this final layer, I go in and use contrast and stabilizer, and I increase the shadow. Pay attention, a really nice contrast has been achieved. To add the next layer, I press Alt yes and adjust the saturation. Right now the intensity levels we have in this work are very high. I reduce the overall density of the work a bit, and then I adjust it in the next layer. In this layer I apply a bit of teal. Make sure that green and blue tones don't appear on the work. In the next layer, I need to increase the intensities and lower the saturation. Then I move on to the next layer. In this part, I want to add the effects. Now here we need to pay attention to how we want to add the effects. The first thing I do is select the skin tone layer, since it has a lot of contrast with the other values, so I separate it out. And from here, I begin to gradually expand the area that I want, and I leave this part just as it is. After we've left this part, I notice a relative gap here, because we added teal orange to the work, to the skin tone. I increase this layer a bit relative to the skin tone. Pay attention, in the blue range, it shifted towards blue. In this range, I push green and other values present in this range towards orange. I also reduce the saturation of the remaining values. In this layer, the effect I need to add is the beauty effect. I need to do this, and I've already started working on it. In this layer, you can see that both the skin tone and the skin layer have been corrected. Moving on to the next layer, I add this glow here. Our lighting effect is gently pushing through these particular areas, creating a subtle impact. We can thoughtfully adjust the focus and the overall feelings. I'm moving on to the next layer. In this layer, I want to do some color edits using effects and controls. Now, I'm going to add a mask here. A section. Take a look at it. See, you can make this side warmer. This adjustment really makes a difference. Now, another layer is coming in. Look, here you can also make adjustments. They use a combination of warm and cool tones so the contrast really stands out. And moving on to the next layer. In this effect, we can select the area and activate the mask. And it's been applied. Here, I adjust the opacity a bit. I go into the contrast layer, and here I control the contrast and highlights a bit. In the effects layer, you can also add some relight, meaning it will not negatively affect our work or the results we are aiming to achieve. We can add it whenever we want, and now, as we like and as needed, we can also have the mask available to us. We can achieve a dreamy, ethereal look, control the hand as well, and even animate it directly from this section. I do it this way, personally, and make my own careful adjustments to these settings, making sure everything fits my preferences and requirements. This layer can also It can be a suitable move for this task. From here we can control its color so that it matches the work. In the final layers, when I come in here, we can add the final touches to the work we want. Now, whatever color we want to apply to the work, we can do it here. Here I don't really touch the color much. I reset it and add the color lockup here. In this layer, I slightly reduce the contrast because I already controlled the contrast in the previous layers. I also adjust the fade to remove the whites that have appeared, and then in this layer I control the warmth and coolness. I control the tint from this section, or if I want a teal orange look I can achieve it here. Here I check it with the opacity and see that I reduce it a bit so the work looks right. I add an effect layer, and from this section we check the work. I make it visible, and you can see the noise in the work. In the final file there's no more noise, the colors are in their proper place, and the result is a clean and diverse piece. Thank you for following along with this tutorial. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Have a great day. Thank you.